everybody. This is Mad City Beats, Eats, and more. Hilarious start here, but we out here. This is the 81st episode. Crazy, you're our 81st guest.
Whoa.
I know. Nice. 3 seasons in, 2 seasons of STORYHIVE On Location. My name is Kazi, the host of this show. We are streaming live right now on the unceded ancestral lands of the Musqueam, the Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish First Nations, what is colonially known as Vancouver, BC, and what we love to call Van City. Today, on the hot seat, aka your couch, is my beautiful friend Joel Jasper, aka Apollo, who is a Vancouver-based DJ and producer who crafts soulful, celestial, and genre-bending electronic music. His life-affirming tracks, which is quite true, I felt that yesterday when I was bumping your album, are guaranteed to bring a smile. Host of Insider Trading on Subtle Radio, Joel has released music with Vancouver's Club Design, Berlin House Music, and Australia's clipp.art. As part of the local DJ collective Wax When You Want, he's open for international acts and performed at Bass Coast Festival in 2022. His latest independent release, which is what I was listening to, Skywalker Canyon, which released back in September of 2024, showcases his versatility blending house, techno, UKG, bass, two-step, and electro into powerful, immersive soundscapes. I brought Joel a treat. In honor of Dilla Day, which was yesterday. Yeah. Shout outs to Jay Dilla, one of the greatest music producers of all time. And we brought you donuts from
obsessed.
Lucky's Donuts. Look. This is delicious.
Yeah, okay, nice. I'll try that one too.
Try that one. So Joel, where I want to start this whole interview is back to the very beginning of your time in this meat suit, in this human form, your soul coming down to this planet in this human form. Like, where are you from? And where did you grow up? And how did that inform who you became as a creative being?
Yeah, okay. Meat bag. My little meat
bag.
Suit. Oh, meat suit, yeah.
But I like meat bag. That's a good...
Is that what you said? Maybe
no.
not.
And I also have to shout out Too Tall because he's the one who I got that, because he's convinced he's alien spirit who came into this lifetime as a meat suit.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, a little meat suit.
Meat bag.
Yeah, I did grow up here.
Born here.
Born here, yeah. I grew up kind of closer to UBC, I guess. Carousdale, K-Dale. What's up?
I have never heard that, and I grew up in East Van. Joyce calling what?
Oh, nice.
But
okay.
K-Dale, say word.
Yeah. And yeah, let's see. I've been playing guitar for a long time. So in high school, got into music that way, and just was in like random cover bands with my friends and playing Battle of the Bands and just being a total like indie MySpace music nerd, I guess. And then slowly I started to like mess around with GarageBand and like simple, like the early Fruity Loops and different production programs. Actually, first I started with Windows Movie Maker.
Oh my God.
Which is arguably you can't even like make music, but somehow I thought that, mashups and stuff were big at the time. So I was like figuring out how to layer audio and like just cut stuff up and loop stuff. And I would even send it to like some of the DJs that were throwing parties at the time. Like I'm running around with a fake ID and like making Windows Movie Maker edits and sending them to people. So yeah.
Did anyone pick it up? Anyone?
I think people were just like, I respect the passion and the effort and keep going. I don't know. Yeah. But
I'm glad they didn't crush your dreams.
Yeah, no, definitely not. They were like, that's crazy. That's crazy you're doing that, so keep going.
Yeah.
And then in terms of the program I use now, which is Ableton, making stuff on there, I had like a science of music class or something. I went to UVic for a year, and a buddy of mine, for our final project, we were like, let's learn Ableton and we'll make a song and that'll be our final project. So that was like my first time. We made this like weird like story with like we went around campus and made this kind of like picture story to go along with the track. I don't know.
That's cool.
Yeah, we made this whole like campus-wide adventure with the sounds and like the music in the background. But I was like obsessed. We stayed up all night. We made this track together, and I was like, this is so fun. So decided to teach myself from there. Yeah.
Who were your early influences during that time, like musically, that was informing what you were creating?
Yeah, I was just talking to my studio mate about this the other day. Like, he was more in the kind of Skrillex
Oh my gosh, these
realm,
are all
but
throwbacks.
yeah. But I was super obsessed with MySpace, and at the time, all the French touch like Justice and Breakbot and Daft Punk and those types of artists were, I feel like, just super popular in like, yeah, Bloghouse, that's what they called it, that era. So just digging through MySpace and creeping different artists from France and Europe, and that was a cool introduction. Kakapi and stuff from Australia as well, but very 2000s. If you listen to it now, you're
Very
just like
2000s.
you could probably pinpoint the year on those tracks. But
What would you say is like your relationship to music? Do you consider it a hobby? Is it something that you'd love to make as a career, or?
yeah, definitely working all the time towards making those two worlds collide in terms of just supporting myself. But I don't really want to make that the priority necessarily, because I've tried that where I like quit my job and I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to do music, and like it becomes this weird kind of limbo where if it's not going super well, then you have this like kind of anxiety around paying bills and like just trying to make it work. So that didn't feel like a healthy connection, and I also had other interests, so I made sure to always have like another source of income or another, other work and stuff I can put my energy into, so that I have like more of a diverse like week as I, I'm doing my thing. But now it is just like a huge part of my daily life, like making stuff, collaborating with people is becoming more and more important to me, because that's like where I have the most fun, I think, is making music with other people.
I'm just gonna do this.
Oh, yeah.
To your microphone here.
No problem.
I can hear your beautiful voice.
Yeah. And yeah, so collabing with friends, but also other conversations I've been having with my music production friends is like making the effort to put in the last few miles on like work when you finish something, because a lot of people will make something and then move on maybe, but they don't give the track the energy that, and like the support that it needs to like be heard,
Can you give me an example?
Like I feel like a lot of producers nowadays are just like so used to the kind of fulfillment and joy that comes from making music, but they just want to move on to the next track or like the next project. But like I think it's equally as important to think about how tracks go together, if there should be like an EP made, or like sending it to labels, or making your own video for it, whatever you want to do. It, like the kind of wrapping it all up is just as important as like making the stuff, because it's important that people hear stuff, and it's important for producers to have that experience too, because you're also engaging with people, and like you're saying stuff to me about what music does for the stuff that I make, your experience with it, and like that's all part of it. And I think it's important to learn about yourself through other people's like interaction with your art, I think.
Oof.
Yeah, I don't know. That's something I've been focusing on more lately.
I like that. I mean, there's so much you just said there, and now we're going to transition to talking about Skywalker Canyon, because I bumped it like on repeat yesterday and this morning, because I just wanted to feel your vibe, bro. But it's interesting that we have this relationship to our art. We're creating it. We're in relation in making it, from either frustration, self-judgment, self-doubt, to expression, to release, to all of that. We have our own relationship to it, to the point where it's like, now I'm ready to just like cap it, it's done, and package it, like you said, and then share it. And then another relationship is born from the people who take in your art. And it's like this constantly evolving thing, which I think is like what is so dope about art in general, art making, but also like the process of, I don't use the word consuming, absorbing, experiencing.
Yeah.
You know, it leaves this room for the unknown. It leaves this room for people to reflect on their own lives or reflect on their own art and be inspired in some sort of way. And so like this relationship just keeps evolving. I'll say that.
Yeah, totally. I agree.
Skywalker Canyon. I mean, the visual is beautiful. Did you take that photo of the moon and the canyon? And
no.
Is it Utah? Like, where is that?
Yeah, I would love to. I did a deep search trying to find the original, the artist, the photographer, and it's just like I couldn't get anywhere. I went down a bunch of rabbit holes, but I found it somewhere, and I realized that it was one of those things similar to making the interludes for the project. It was like that photo spoke to me in terms of like, yeah, I have this like deep interest in the desert and just like musically, I've been trying to like exude some of those like feelings I have about it, or like the way I think it makes me feel. Not that I've spent a ton of time there in different deserts, but like, anyway, I found that photo, and it also kind of pulled out like tracks together into what the album was. It was all this kind of amorphous thing that like happened at once, I guess, where the album came together in conjunction with the album artwork.
A place of love lives on, aka Apollo. Pourquoi?
Yeah.
How did you come up with this name, and when did Apollo come into this meat bag?
Yeah. Yeah, the meat bag arrived.
Yeah.
I was just talking about this with my partner because she was like, they're probably going to ask you this. So, and I hadn't told her the story, but anyway.
You're like, watch the interview.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You got to tune in. No, the first 5 or so years of making music, I had another name I went by Kalibo, which is actually a place I went to in the Philippines.
Yeah, I was like, did I know you from that name before? Or
maybe. Yeah, we would have. I think I was going to public disco and playing shows
as
back
Kalibo?
then. As Kalibo for a while.
Yeah, but okay,
Yeah,
so it's a place in my motherland.
Yes.
Do tell.
Yeah. Well, that was I was teaching in South Korea, and there's lots of holidays there. So my friend and I went to Boracay, and we met my friend from high school there. She and her mom do volunteer nursing in the Philippines, and after their like 2 weeks of that, they always went to Boracay. So we crashed their mother-daughter like little vacay, and on the way back, we went. I guess the boat goes through this town called Kalibo.
Yes.
Yeah, and the landscape there and everything was very tropical. I was making more like tropical, beachy kind of indie house and like dancey stuff back then. So I was like, that name is really cool, and it also feels like locked in with the type of music I was making. Yeah.
I'm so excited right now. Okay.
I forgot about that part, but yeah.
Well, okay, this is why I'm excited. Because, bruv, you have traversed through my motherland.
Yeah.
Like there are 7,100, 7,200 islands of the Philippines, but that is the island that my family's from. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Whoa.
This is why I'm like all cute and giggly and stuff.
Yeah.
But like, so there's the tiny island of Boracay, and then there's this bigger island called Panay, and Panay is divided by multiple provinces, and you like there's like that big city, Rojas City. Is that where you ended up driving to get to the plane?
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
So you drive through these different provinces, and one of those provinces is the province of Aklan, which is where like my grandmother on my mom's side is from.
Oh, wow.
And Kalibo.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah, like you literally went by a name that is where my ancestral lineage is from. Bro.
Yeah, that's
amazing.
Well, I'm glad we finally got to talk about
Yeah, but
that.
now you changed your name, so now you have to explain it.
Yeah, well, it was a good run. I really liked that name and that project. But we narrowed it in. It was like the first year I went to Bass Coast, and I saw some friends playing on the main stage, and they had like, it was actually Waspy and Blondtron there, and they had kind of big dancing energy, and like he's playing the drums and she's DJing, and like visuals and costumes and like just like big budget kind of feel for their show. And as I was watching it, I was with my friend, and I was just like, oh, I got flashes of like what my project might look like if I had a main stage set and I had like some production behind it and like decorating or whatever, like a stage design or something.
You saw yourself.
I saw it, and I was like, I saw it, but like that's not Kalibo, it's something different. And I had been feeling like a name change might be coming. So that night at Bass Coast, I was running around, and I had this idea that I had like my art design account. I had made this image for kind of my avatar, and it was like a bust of like a Greek god, I assumed, a Greek statue. And I had this for a number of years, making design or illustrations and stuff. And I was like, I wonder what that bust is, and you know, maybe there's something there. So I was trying to find the original image I used for that design. And first I came across Ares. I like the Greek god Ares.
Yeah, that's the god of
well, yeah, because I'm an Aries, and I was like, maybe that could be cool, but it turns out, yeah, he's like the god of war and fire.
Yeah,
and like,
exactly.
And just like
so opposite from who you are.
No chill at all. And so I was like, okay, that's not it. And then I keep looking, and I find it, and I find the image, and I realized, yeah, it was Apollo. And I was partying. I was at a festival, so I was reading this thing, and like at the time, it was like a little blurb about what Apollo does or whatever, but
what does
like
he do?
In my mind's eye, what I saw was like he loves to like ride his bike to the beach and like, you know, like just hanging with friends. It was like all this stuff about like things that I like.
Yeah.
And so
you mean Apollo in Greek mythology as a god likes to ride his bike to the beach?
I was having a moment. Having a moment. And so my phone was like speaking to me or something. I don't know. We're
at a music
live
festival.
Streaming.
We
yeah,
get
exactly.
it. We get it.
And so I was like, whoa, like that's sick. That is sick. And also I just loved the word Apollo. I felt like connected to it. I ran up to my friends like, yo, I'm changing my name to Apollo. They're just like, yes, absolutely. That works. And so that's where it came from. And then I was making my first album, and I didn't want to like just completely be associated with, you know, everything that goes around that word Apollo. So I was like, thought of the acronym, A Place of Love Lives On, as, you know, something that was more personal to me and like kind of a mantra and like a self reminder and something I wanted to like imbue into the music I was making. So yeah, it kind of came together later, but like I was much more attached to it and felt more connected to the name once I made it an acronym.
How would you describe the music that you are creating right now in terms of its sound, characteristics, genres?
Yeah, good question. I think that I'm making a lot of different stuff. I always have made a lot of different genres of stuff, like from Skywalker Canyon to these other EPs. It's like, I hope there's a through line. Like I hope like the artists that I love the most, I can like, if they threw some curveball of like a completely different genre than what they normally make, I'd still be able to know if it was their track just from the sound and like the energy. So I'm still working on that, but like, I guess in terms of the dance music I'm making, it's like a little more sleuthy swing, like UK influence stuff right now. And yeah, so some like garage and some like two-step stuff, I guess, but still very connected to house and making lots of that. And then also experimenting with just beats and like hip hop stuff too, because like that's what I grew up on. That's what I grew up listening to, was more hip hop, like Tribe Called Quest, Dilla, like stuff like that. So and I feel like it finds its way into all the house music I make anyways, because I use a lot of soul samples, jazz samples, and stuff that they were influenced with, but they were just making a different genre. So it's like, it's cool to find the kind of connective tissue between all of that stuff. Yeah.
Well, from my personal experience of your music, I definitely feel a through line is experimental. You know, like you're always willing to try something new and something different. And I don't really have the word for it, but something that goes along the lines of like what you don't expect and it's flipped. That's how I feel.
Cool.
Because I hear those influences that you just described, which is cool, like sleuthy. I never thought of that word before.
I love that word.
But like, yeah, it's a good word. It's an it's a vibe. It's an energy. But yeah, there's I hear those influences in it, but it feels flipped.
Cool.
You know?
Yeah, totally.
And that you've done something different and creative with it, which is really cool.
That's nice to hear.
Visual art wise, you know, it's cool that earlier you were talking about things becoming a full package and thinking about that package, because when you release your work, may it be a mix, or if it's, you know, your actual EPs or albums, like there is an aesthetic that you've built. If anyone wants to go check out Apollo's designs on IG, you'll
Apollo's
see
design.
his illustrations and graphic design work. Yeah, how did you start getting into that? And what are you influenced by?
Yeah, I just for the sake of, you know, saving a buck, I decided to start making my own artwork. Oh, I don't know if that's really what it was. I was like, had a very particular idea of what I wanted it to look like. So
It's like one of those, like, it's easier if I just do it myself
Yeah,
than try to
exactly.
explain to someone.
Yeah, totally. So I was just dove into learning Illustrator, which is the program I usually use, and then I fell in love with it. And I haven't been doing it as much lately, but that's gonna kind of come off the back burner soon, I think. And but yeah, at the time I was really influenced by there's this artist. There's a few, but there was a female artist that did a lot of like New York Times covers and things. Her name was Malika Favre, I think. And then Pilar Zeta, who does all the art direction for like Jimmy Edgar's label, and he's a big producer doing crazy like techno stuff. And anyway, so there was a few artists I was just like at the time was trying to, you know, mimic and like learn from their style and expand from there. So, but they were using the program for what it's really good for, which is making super clean lines. It's all like, you know, algorithms and ratios and mathematics that like you could zoom things in, and like it doesn't matter how much you zoom, it doesn't pixelate, it just stays like a clean line. And so I felt really drawn to like using that but making also realism, so going super detailed and you know, recreating a photo or something, but with all of this kind of like perfection, which I've heard from people, it gives them such a kind of interesting feeling, because it's like serene and like very clean and calming, because maybe it's like such a organized looking thing. You know what I mean? Like there's no kind of mistakes, which I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what a mistake is, but like, you know what I mean? It's kind of just like its own particular style. I think it's been called flat art before.
Oh,
I hear people talk about it.
I mean, I just look at it and there's like aspects of it that feel very retro, but also very modern, because the color palettes you choose.
Yes.
That's the part that gets me, where I'm just like, I get this like, oh, and then the color palette plus all the lines and like the flat, what did you call it? Flat art. Flat art.
Yeah.
It matches the sound. Like all of it is a cohesive package.
That's definitely what I was trying. Yes. And I do feel, I don't have like, you know, colors flashing in front of my face when I'm listening to music, but I do feel like a synesthetic like connection to tunes and like certain color ideas or like feelings of certain colors come up when I'm listening to music. I think a lot of people experience that, and so
Oof.
just using that connection to be inspired to make something, as if I'll be like listening to music while I'm doing something, or like making artwork for friends' covers, which I've done in the past. That's a cool experience because it's like other people's music, and it's like I get to interpret it visually.
I would love to talk about Vancouver scene with you.
Sure.
You know, especially this DJ collective that you're part of, Wax When You Want.
Yeah.
When did that start? How did that start?
We just had our 2-year a few weeks ago. Started with, it's my friends Ray, Nick, and Henry. That's DJ Dairy Free, Direct Deposit, and Barometry. And
great names.
Yeah, all great names. Killer DJs, go book them. They're crazy. It started just as like, I think Ray and Henry and maybe Nick at the time were just like having a weekly mix and meet up at Henry's place, which is over here in the West End. And I think I was coming around a little bit too, and like doing some like random design ideas for, I don't know if we were going to throw a party or something, but yeah. And eventually the four of us were just like, let's make this a thing. And it was all about just like, kind of like what we were talking about earlier, an excuse to like hang with the people that you're partying with all the time, but don't get to like actually chat and like spend real quality weekday time with when the lights are on. And
you see what everyone actually looks like.
Yeah, exactly. Which is great.
Which is beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah. And so we meet at Henry's place, and we had a guest on every 2 weeks for a while. We were doing it bi-weekly.
Is it kind of like living room DJ vibes?
It's living room DJ vibes. There's a couch in the back. Someone's making snacks and food. And there's like a gerbil running on the wheel on the TV or something. Or like for a while we were watching guinea pigs eat watermelon. Like, I don't know. It was always just some hilarious YouTube spiral to like keep people entertained.
For a second I thought you meant like a real gerbil.
Yeah, we should have got a real gerbil at Wax When You Want.
But why Wax When You Want?
That was kind of just to let people know that they could bring vinyl if they wanted to experiment, because it seems like everyone's building their libraries, building their skills with just DJing vinyl, and it was also trying to push us to get more into that world. So, and also just kind of an open invite when you want, like come by when you want, tune in when you want. It was supposed to be very relaxed, low key, and no low barrier entry kind of thing.
How about this new show that you have?
Yeah.
Called Insider Trading, which I love the name.
Yeah.
It's on Subtle Radio, which is based out of Hackney, London?
Yep.
Is that like a neighborhood in London?
I believe so. Yeah.
I've heard of a thing called the Hackney accent.
There you go.
Yeah, I need to Google what that sounds like. But tell us about this show.
It's a monthly, and I guess they have like recorded programming from around the world in the first half of the day, and then they have a studio where DJs in Hackney or around London are going and playing their live stuff. So they had an open application. Well, they did the takeover at Bass Coast last year, I guess. Last few years they've had like Boiler Room, Keep Hush, and then Subtle Radio do like live streams out of the festival. So
cool.
I had heard some of their mixes here and there, but that's when I like felt more connected with them, I guess. But once they posted open applications for residency, I was just like hopped on, gave the person the idea for the show, which was to like give people more of a chance to play out their stuff they're sitting on, their unreleased stuff, and like try and showcase the people around me in the community here, and got accepted. Yeah. So Insider Trading, it's like the third Wednesday or fourth Wednesday of every month, and I've had 2 so far. The first episode I did like an all originals mix from friends. I had everyone send in stuff, and then the last one I had my friend T Noble as the guest mix, and that was killer. Yeah. She did like the 40 minutes at the end. It's such a good mix.
I heard that mix too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the next one I have my friend Colin Ironzu. He's going to be doing the one for this month. But yeah, I can't wait to just like stack it with all the producers I'm loving, and again, just like an opportunity to push people to like finish stuff and put it out. And like, cause I feel like there's all this pressure to get your stuff on the streaming services or have a cool album cover or get it into the right hands. But like, we make more than that. I think people make more tracks than they can handle. And so just one more place that people can start playing out unreleased music to like a wider audience, and like, again, low barrier for entry, like just letting people really experiment and like play what they're hyped on. And then also hoping that they'll play some of the stuff that influenced those tracks also in the mix. Yeah. But insider trading, it's all about like, just like trading the stuff that people are keeping too close.
And being on the inside.
Yeah, being on the inside.
That's why I thought it was brilliant.
But it's really for everybody, so you know.
Well, even from the
Inside
first show, like how you were able to collect different friends and like, again, this platform, which it's true, like people are sitting on so many beats and they just might not have an actual place or it might not see the light of day, but it's like so fire.
Yeah, so fire, yeah.
To have that moment, especially in something that is like a packaged experience is like, when you told me the concept or when I saw it posted online, I was like, this is brilliant. It's so good. It's the internet. We're in the day and age of technology and the internet, and there's so many shows out there. So when you find something that it has like such a cool, clear concept, respect.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it. Yeah. Well, it was really cool. The first episode when I was mixing all my friends, not only did they all send me fire, like I had a kind of expectation of like, you know, these are going to be demos, like they're not mastered, they're not going to be like world class, but it was all world class. It was like no problem mixing with this stuff. It was just as good as if I had been digging for a couple weeks for like a mix or something. But not only that, but all the tracks like flowed together in a way that it was like who I met people through. Like
what do you mean?
Like I would play one track, and the track that would work perfectly after that was the person that. Sorry, I met the next person through this person. Like in terms of my friendships and connections, it's like it was like
it told a story.
It told a story, like how I knew that person is like through this person, and like not just knowing, but like the friendships were built, or our experiences together, or what we're producing together. It all just made such perfect sense for me in terms when I was just like looking at on paper or like the track list. I was like, I love that these are going together. These people are matching, and and some of the people I talked to that sent the tracks in and talked about the mix after with me, my one friend said he was tearing up, like seeing how the tracks were going together and just hearing it all. Like I was just like, that's sick. That's what it was all about for sure. But
it's very serendipitous.
Yes, totally. Yeah, it had meant to be. Yeah.
What are you inspired by Vancouver's current underground music scene? Either other groups or people or artists or just the vibe in general?
Yeah, I think right now it's a cool time, even though, you know, our venues are very limited. After the lockdown, it seemed like there were so many event crews that popped up. People were just like so hyped to like get out and get that project going. But beyond that, I feel like it's a very accepting and encouraging community of artists that are like down for whatever. You can honestly you could say there's like a sound for Vancouver in so many different ways, so many different genres, or like if it's like the beat people making like, you know, there's like loop sessions, that's a good example, people meeting up once a month and they're making beats. There's B-side, which is just a hub of everything you can imagine, I think. And then in terms of parties, there's like super hype pop queer techno parties. There's like tons of tech house and underground, like, you know, intense like Euro all-nighters. And then there's, it seems like with the festivals we have here, tons of bass music too. I don't know, you can honestly make anything and find yourself, your audience or your people, which is encouraging because like you don't need to go to a city to get the certain sound and like fit in. You can like, there's enough here, I think, to find like a really sick crowd or like super fans here or whatever. Yeah, so I think the festivals definitely help with that as well.
Yeah. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Joel.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. This has been Joel Jasper, aka Apollo, a place only love lives on.
Of love, yes.
A place of love.
Thank you.
Only love.
Only love. Whoa. We can aspire. We can aspire for that. Yeah.
And my name is Kazi. Shout out to everybody who's tuned in, who is watching the recording from this live stream. We really appreciate you. And also one more time, shout outs to Dilla, HBD, and thank you for all the music and inspiration from Time. This has been Van City Beats, Eats, and more. Bye.